So, one thing I find is helpful with that kind of question of how am I doing? Well, it's a very helpful process to look in the mirror and tell you and just say you're doing great and see how you feel about that. Because you do that and you will you'll suddenly become very conscious of all your judgments about yourself. If you're looking in the mirror and going, "You're doing great," and suddenly you'll hear all these voices that might have a different opinion or not. If it's or not, that's fantastic. What I find though is very helpful is particularly in terms of um, again, a lot of the things to do with the spiritual life are suddenly out of date. It's like we've jumped forward now, we're all in a new consciousness, and what was before doesn't apply anymore. So the idea of the spiritual path, no, there's no path. It's all now. It's all available now. That's not linear. It was in the past, but not anymore. This is again just my perspective. Um, the idea of the old kind of model of the master and the student, and you have to work really hard and do all this stuff, and then all going well, if you're lucky, you'll get enlightened. That doesn't apply anymore either. Is the time of the master sitting up on the podium giving forth, that's all finished now as well. It's like everyone, it's all come up, everything has come up, consciousness has come up. So it's kind of much more level playing field where you can get help for sure, but you get help in the same way as you get help from a friend, because it's it seems to me it's really important now to get up close and personal to people that you feel like are, sort of get the master down off the podium so you can sit beside him, have a cup of tea, and go, you know what, we're not that different. I'm probably there too, to get there straight away. Um, but the for yourself, uh, and because you have kids, if you think about your kids when they were babies, like just really, 1 week, 2 weeks old, um, you didn't expect anything of them. You didn't expect them to do anything. You didn't expect them to work hard, uh, try, strive, better themselves. You're just very we're around babies, or when I'm around babies, you're just really with the natural process of life, which is that this little creature is perfect in the place that it is right now. Right now, it's a baby. Yeah, I know they might grow up to be a whatever is, people like to grow up to be like an astronaut or a CEO or a great singer or a great artist or whatever. But right now, they're just a little baby, and I don't have any expectations of them being anything other than the way they are. And I just love them, and there's no conditions. It just pours out of me. So uh, that's the way I feel about myself. And that's the way I encourage everybody to feel about themselves as well. Because um, if you can feel that for yourself, meaning you can appreciate you just exactly where you're at, and that you will be different tomorrow and you were different yesterday. And the more you stretch that out, like 10 years ago, I was a different person. So that must mean in 10 years, I'm going to be a different person. Now, what we can tend to do is kind of go, well, that must mean I'm really, because 10 years ago, I was really stupid, which means in 10 years' time, I'm going to look back at me now and think I was really stupid as well. So that means I'm really stupid right now, which is not helpful and not true either, because it would be, again, if I come back to the baby, it'd be like looking at a baby going, yeah, big deal, you can't do anything, you can't clean yourself, you can't feed yourself, come back to me when you're 20 and maybe I'll be slightly impressed by you. You'd never think like that with the baby, but that's kind of the way we think about ourselves, in everything. So in terms of spiritual growth and spiritual life, I would encourage you to think of it in those terms. Or another analogy I like thinking about is, if you could, like say you get a seed and then you plant it and it grows and becomes a big oak tree, right? Now, if you could listen in, if you had some device that you could listen into the internal conversation of that seed, sapling, small tree, bigger tree, and if you were listening into it as it was a sapling and it was going, oh, I'm so pathetic, I'm so floppy, I'm just rubbish, like, why haven't I a big tree? Well, you'd be like shocked and go, well, that's just, that's going to happen, but you are what you are right now. You're fine. You were a seed, or if you were listening in the seed and the seed was like, oh, I'm so pathetic, I'm so small. What's wrong with me? But you'd never think that, or you'd never, if you heard that seed, sapling, small tree, giving itself a hard time the way we do, you'd think it was ridiculous. But yet for ourselves, it's like, oh no, yeah, for me, it's okay to expect myself to be completely something that I'm not right now. Does that make sense?
That's an amazing way to put it. That's a very good way to put it. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So you are doing great.
I am, and there's room for growth. Yes, I
but
am.
but it's but it's like, yeah, but it's a continually moving thing. Like you can't help but grow. It's just going to happen. So you may as well enjoy it. Like it's like whenever I discover myself doing something ridiculous or thinking something ridiculous, like it's like I usually just laugh. And not in a kind of hysterical, crazy laugh. I mean, it's amusing for one thing, but it's particularly, if it's really close to the bone, some cherished little belief about myself that I have that I suddenly discover, or I realize about myself. Um, it's like I've got no judgment about that at all. It's just like, oh well, there's another bit of unconsciousness that's just been transformed, and yeah, I'm sure there's loads more, but it's all happening as it's supposed to, and in the right time and in the right place. So that makes me very comfortable in an uncomfortable process.